Okay, so this wasn't given to me to review. I bought this out of my own money, and I had several criteria as to why I bought it. First is no glow. Now it's quite important these days because the animals tend to see the ones that glow and they're put off. Secondly, quick trigger speed. This one says 0.2 of a second, which will yet to be seen. The other thing yet to be seen is the 1080p. My last one claimed that, but it's dubious. And it also has a 16 megapixel camera. Again, we'll wait and see. And thirdly, it was cheap, under £50. It's not a well-known make, Zopu, never heard of them, but they do have a website unlike a lot of the others. So let's see what we get. Instruction booklet, which is actually a lot more comprehensive than others I've seen. Gives you a lot more information. We've got the kit itself. What else have we got in here? A thank you card from the makers. It gives you the website on the back. You can go and have a look. They don't do many things, but this is one of them. And we also get the strap for attaching it to whatever you want to attach it to, and a USB cable. So let's get this out and have a little look. Now I say it's cheap. The criteria for that is because if you lose an expensive one, you know, you're heartbroken, but losing a cheap one isn't so bad. Now don't forget to take these plastic covers off. Oh, that one, the actual tab has broken off. I'll have to get that one off later. You need to get them off because they will affect the quality if you leave the one on the camera, and B, they might not trigger well if you leave them on these sensors. I can't seem to pick them off. I'll have to get something in there to get them off later. Anyway, so we've got the main lens, your forward-facing PIR and your two side-facing PIRs, and then you've got your IR LEDs up here. Nothing spectacular, pretty standard. Your mains input at the bottom, I say mains, you know, off your charger or transformer, and your tripod mount. On the back, your loops for the straps, and then your little loop for a padlock if you need it. Have a look inside. Again, fairly standard. Got your controls, which are a lot less complicated these days. Your screen, again with a cover on, but I tend to leave the cover on the inside one because it doesn't really matter. And your battery compartment. It takes 8 AA's, and on the bottom here you've got your SD card slot, your USB port, and your mains charger, or your transformer charger hole, which will go up through that hole there once you take the cap out and it's all closed up. So let's get some batteries in and the SD card. We can have a little play about with the settings. Now I like to use a fairly decent SD card. I always try and go for the most expensive I can buy. This particular machine will only take up to a 32 gig, which is ample really. But if you don't get good quality, you can get poor images and failures. So that just pushes in there, goes in very easily, and sort of is on spring loaded, so don't force it. If it's not going to go, turn it around and try it the other way. I'll get these batteries in. I know someone's going to criticise me for using Duracell. I've always used them. I like them. They work well for me. And where I get them, they're relatively cheap. Now with the standard settings or the default settings, I think you should get about a year on standby with these. Obviously if it's going to trigger all the time, the time's going to be reduced, and also if you put all the settings up to their absolute maximum, it's going to reduce your battery life. But with all the trail cams I've had, I've never really had a problem with battery life. I set one out for a week once in a field, didn't touch it for a week. I had about 1,000 clips on it and the batteries were still good. So there you go. So let's turn her on and have a little look at the settings. Don't know whether you'll actually be able to see this screen, so I'll try and talk you through as much as I can. On the front here it tells you what modes you're in, the time. You can't quite see it really there. How many hours you've got left, your battery life, what mode you're in there for camera or video. You go into menu, scroll down through there, and that'll give you, the first one is whether you have video only, camera only, or camera and video, which means it takes a snapshot every time the video is triggered. So you can, I usually leave it on camera, but I'll probably do camera and snapshot for this demonstration. Check your language, English. What's the next one? Photo size, you can go from 3 megapixel up to 16. Next one is your video size. I've set it on maximum. Then you've got picture numbers, video length. You can have from 3 seconds to 30 seconds, and your interval from 5 seconds to 60 minutes. Then you go down to sense level. I think are we on that yet? Video length, interval, your sense level, normal, medium and high. I'm going to set it on normal just for now until we get going. Set your time and date, so you can set all the years and the months and the hours and the time and everything. I don't think it's particularly important, but I do like to know when things happen, so I do tend to set them. It's always interesting to know what time of night things go on. All these animals are out, because I usually use this for animals. You can use them for security, you know, stick them out somewhere where you think someone's prowling about, and I think a lot of people do. But I tend to use these just for watching the animals. So let's see if we got the date right yet. We're getting there. What are we on now? On to the time. Right, then what are we on next? The date, time on or off. Yeah, we're going to have that on. Time lapse off. Timer off. Serial number. SD card storage. What else have we got? Format. No, it's side PIRs. On or off. And that is these, where will we show you? These two here. If you have them on, you get much better coverage. You can see that they're working because of that red light flashing. Then what have we got? We got format after that. I want to format this because this SD card came out of my previous machine, so I just want to format it to this one. So do that, yes, format. And that was very, very quick. Then we just got default settings, yes or no, and the version of the machine. So I think that's about it. We can get out of that. And there we go, we're all ready to set it. So I'm going to turn it off, and then we'll go outside and we'll set it to on. And we'll see what happens. We'll give it a bit of a test. Now it's winter. We've been putting a bit of birdseed out for the birds. We like to feed them, and unfortunately it's attracted a few unwanted guests. So I'm just going to set it up really basically on the back of this chair. You get the idea. You could put it on a tree, you could put it on a stake, you could put it anywhere you like. And I'm just pointing it towards where I know they come out, and we've got some little rats coming out. So let's see if this will catch a few and see what sort of quality it gives us. So we'll leave it out overnight, come back in the morning, see what results we get. Alright, so I've brought it in from the garden. It's just been out overnight, not quite a full day. I find the easiest way to get the images off is to just whip the card out and just plug it into a card reader rather than plug the whole machine in via USB. You can do that, but I just find this easier. Let's see if I can get this in left-handed whilst holding the camera. No, obviously it doesn't go that way. It's a bit tight. Turn it round and drop it. Come on, ham-fisted. Right, there we go. And it's reading. So let's have a little look, see what we've got. See if I can find the right program. I tend to use, for getting these, or for viewing these, VLC. It's cheap, it's free, and it reads lots of different formats. So there we are, we've opened up the file and we've got something like 240 images. That's stills and videos. So I'm just going to select them all and then open with fetching. I think that's because it's taking its time to open them all. There we go. Cut that little bit out. It's downloading them all. VLC opens up in VLC and it starts immediately. So what I shall do, I shall review these on the computer, and the best ones I'll pick because you're bound to get some false images, you know, false triggers. So you will get some where there is nothing on it. You can see there the rat in the background of that one. So I'll have a look and I'll put the best ones up. Right, so these are first off the videos. And again, you can see that's pretty good quality. I'm not sure whether you'd class that as 1080. I don't know if there's any way to actually sort of prove definitively whether it is or not. But the colours are quite good. You can see what's going on. I think the actual camera seems to be focusing better towards the window of the house. I don't quite know why. Whether I've got it set too close. I'm not sure how accurately the temperatures are showing, because I know it's unseasonably warm here at the moment, but I don't think it's quite 14. I think we're up to about 9 or 10. Maybe a little more, maybe up to 11, but I don't think we're up to 14. And it is quite dark. There's two rats in that one, and Ralph has spotted them, but he's not quite that clever. Yeah, it's quite dark, so I guess if the sun came out, the images might brighten up quite considerably. But even so, they're not too bad. Now the night ones I'm a little less pleased with. Well, saying that, you know, you can see it's Ralph. I don't quite know what I'm expecting, and look at that, there's a mouse. Obviously the rats come out during the day, the mice come out at night. So I suppose in a way it's good that it actually triggered for something as small as a mouse, and you can tell it's a mouse. I don't suppose, you know, what else would it be? Yeah, I'm reasonably pleased with those. Obviously you're not going to get the quality of the Bushnells at a sixth of the price. You know, the Bushnells are up to £300 each, whereas this was under 50 quid. And the advantage of this being under 50 quid is if some of the places I put them, although they're on private land, you still get people wandering around, and you know, the chances are it could get spotted by somebody, even though they are camouflaged, and I try and hide them quite well. But if you did lose one, it's, you know, 50 quid's nowhere as bad as 300 quid. That's my reckoning. And at the end of the day, oh, has he spotted something? All I want to do is use it as a nature cam. You know, I'm not trying to use it to identify robbers or anything like that, so I don't need that definition. So all in all, I think it's actually pretty good. You see the quality there isn't too bad at all. Not bad at all. I'm quite pleased with that. Oh, we've got another visitor, a squirrel. We've got all the rodents in today. Now I'm not quite sure what he's doing there. I don't know if Ralph spotted him, but that's a video and he's not still. He's just perfectly still. You can see what I mean by the trigger times. This is supposedly 0.2 of a second, but you can see how far into the shot the animals are. Like Ralph's already in there, although he shot in there straight out the back door quickly. You can see if it was a fast moving animal, it would be gone and out of the shot before you even saw it. So that's why the trigger time is really important. And this one I'm actually quite impressed by. So that's another bonus point. So that's the videos. Let's have a little look at the stills, see how they compare. Now what I did, I swapped the quality. There's two in that one. And that one. I originally set it for 16 megapixels because I wanted to see how good it was, but then it became apparent very quickly that trying to capture moving objects at 16 megapixels with a cheap camera isn't going to work. So even there, Ralph's a bit blurred, and this is set back down to 5 megapixels. It will go lower, down to 3, and there's quite a few in between. I think they tend to use the 16 megapixels for things like the time lapse. If you were filming, say, I don't know, something growing, something that grows quite quickly, and you were using the time lapse to take a photo every couple of hours, the 16 megapixel is the one to go for. But for moving objects, I think the 3, the 5, the 8 are the way to go. But again, this is on quite a big screen, and it's reasonably good. You can see there Ralph, you know, he's moving. It's obviously not got him very well, but overall I'm pretty impressed for the price. It's all I could actually have wanted, to be honest. So if you want a cheap and cheerful with reasonable quality, I would certainly recommend it. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.